Welcome geometry students to class today on this Friday the 14th. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you're ready to learn some math today. Let's quickly go over some announcements and then we'll go from there. Maybe a test next week, but highly doubtful. In fact, with Monday being taken off for senior senior work day, and then Friday I believe there's no school for the competition. I don't see us any way getting a test in next week, but we'll see how that goes. You owe me Thursday's assignment. Please turn that in now. That's from lesson 10.2, and it's all that you did yesterday, so please turn that in. I did not make it to the school yesterday, so if you turned it in yesterday already, I don't know that, but if you did, you're fine. If you did not, please turn that in. Jace, again, got your email. We're good. If you can take the test today, that's chapter number 9 test. That'd be great. If you can't, I totally understand. No pressure. But I will put it incomplete on your report card until that's taken, which is no big deal. As soon as you take it, I'll put the grade in and your incomplete will be gone, okay? Exempt from the quiz. If you missed, if you feel like you should have been exempt from the quiz because you missed a couple days this week, email me and I will take that into consideration when I pick up the quizzes and grade those. Okay? Well, let's go ahead and get started. Well, students, I hope that you are learning to study for your quizzes and tests. And I hope that you did well today. If I've heard this one time, I've heard it a million times. How do you study for math? And the answer is you make sure you can work out every problem that's going to be on the test or a quiz without any help from your notes. And when you're able to do that, you're ready for the test or the quiz. If you've really learned your homework, notice I didn't put the word did. I didn't say if you've really done your homework. I didn't say that. Okay? I said if you've really learned your homework. I don't believe that this quiz was tough. I mean, anybody can look at a square root like, I don't know, 72 and realize you can put 36 times 2 and then cross off the 36 and put a 6 on the outside, just stuff like that. I mean, as long as you had your list of perfect squares, it really wasn't difficult. Okay, so if you've really learned your homework, I don't feel like the quiz was that tough. Today's video will be somewhat long, but there will not be any homework for you to do over the weekend. I know that you've already spent some time taking the quiz, and so I want to respect that, and you will not have homework over the weekend. However, if you don't finish this video, you must finish it over the weekend. This video must be finished, okay? All right, continuing on. On Wednesday, 2 days ago, we studied a special triangle called a 45-45-90 triangle. Now, I told you on that day we would also be studying another special triangle later called a 30-60-90 triangle. And that is what we're going to look at today. So your heading today is 30-60-90 triangles. The lesson number is 10.3. And if you like to keep track of the date, today's date is the 14th, 3/14/14. All right. Let's start off by looking at what a 30-60-90 triangle looks like. Go ahead and copy this in your notes. This triangle right here. I want to talk about this for a second. Go ahead and copy that in your notes, and be sure to include the angles. Put 60 degrees up here, 30 degrees down here, and let's talk about this, okay? First of all, obviously it's called a 30-60-90 triangle because the three angles are 30-60-90. Now, something else I would like to show you. You know that when you go straight across from the right angle, that side over there is called the hypotenuse. You know that, okay? And you know the other two sides are called legs. We've learned that. But I want to show you something you need to write down right now. When we were dealing with 45-45-90 triangles, it really didn't matter what leg we were talking about because remember, the legs were always the same. If one leg had a length of 3, the other leg had a length of 3. So it really didn't matter what leg we were talking about. But do you notice in a 30-60-90 triangle, the two legs will not be congruent. So we have to learn to differentiate between the two legs and give them different names. So I want to show you something that's really easy to understand, but you have to learn it. Do you see how 60 is the bigger angle when you compare it to 30? Do you see that? We don't care about 90 because we already know 90 points to the hypotenuse. Okay, we know that. But when you look at 60 and 30, notice 60 is the bigger angle. So if you go straight across from 60, this side over here is what we call the longer leg, and I'm going to call it the LL leg, the longer leg. Now, when you look at your other angle, which is your 30 degrees, and you go straight across to the opposite side, that's going to be the shorter leg. So we're going to call that the SL, the shorter leg. Now, you must be able to differentiate between those two. So please don't forget to memorize this or write this down or do something. 30 degrees always points to the shorter leg. 60 degrees always points to the longer leg. And does that make sense? I mean, 60 is bigger, so it should point to the bigger side. 30 is smaller, so it should point to the smaller side. Make sure you understand that. You'll need to know that for the rest of this lesson. Now, as you can imagine, we are going to learn shortcuts to finding lengths of these triangles, just like we did with 45, 45, 90 triangles. Let me take a second and show you how we came up with these shortcuts. Everything I'm about ready to write right now, you do not need to take notes on unless you want to. It's totally up to you, okay? I'm going to draw a 60, 60, 60 triangle. 60, 60, 60. And I'm going to call all the sides a length of 2, 2, 2. Now, I'm going to take my pen and I'm going to drop a line straight down the middle. Now, because it is a 60, 60, 60 triangle, if I draw a perpendicular line, it will cut this angle in half. So now this angle is 30. And then also, it'll cut this opposite side in half. So if this whole side right here had a length of 2, which it did, well, now I know, now watch this carefully, now I know that the length from here to here is 1, and the length from here to here is 1. And then trust me, I'm going to take a red marker and highlight this triangle to the right. Now remember, everything I'm showing you now, you do not need to understand. I hope you're getting this. If you're a little lost, don't worry about it. You will not be tested on this, and I'm not going to ask you to prove this. However, if you look at this red triangle that I just highlighted, and you notice it's a right triangle, and you notice the hypotenuse is 2, and a leg is 1, if you use Pythagoras theorem, you can go to another leg, and you'll know it's the square root of 3. So by doing all of this work, I ended up with this right here. 30 degrees here, 60 degrees here, a 1 here, a 2 here, and a square root of 3 here. And I got that information by using this triangle here. Now again, if you're lost on what I just said, don't worry about it. You're totally fine. You're not going to be accountable for that. I just wanted to show students where that came from, just to kind of give them a little better education on that topic, okay? Now, let's take a look at 3 30, 60, 90 triangles, and I'm going to label some sides, and I want to see if you guys can notice a pattern to the lengths of these sides, just like we did when we studied 45, 45, 90 triangles. Go ahead and copy these 3 triangles in your notes if you would, please. Try to draw them very similar to the way I have mine. Alright? We're going to call the upper angles 30 and the lower right angle 60, okay? Now it really doesn't matter normally how you would draw your triangles, but I'd like you to draw them just like mine so there's no confusion, okay? So here we go. Watch this. We just learned a second ago that I can call this side here a 2. This side here a 1, and using Pythagoras theorem, this side here will be a square root of 3. So go ahead and write that down. Now, by the way, I'm going to highlight your 2 legs. Here's a leg, and here's a leg. Which one of those two legs is called the longer leg? Well, you go to the 60, and the 60 points to the longer leg, so the square root of 3 is your longer leg, the 1 would be your shorter leg, and the 2 would be your hypotenuse. Because remember, the shorter leg is always directly across from the 30. Now, you didn't need to know all that, but I just wanted to go over that again so you're getting used to that, okay? All right, now let's come over here and let me give you some more dimensions to a larger 30, 60, 90 triangle. Let's pretend this was 4. Let's pretend this was 2. And then using Pythagorean's theorem, trust me, you would see it's 2 square root of 3. Let's come over here and write some more numbers down, okay? If this was a 20 here, just trust me, this would be a 10 here, and this would be a 10 square root of 3. Now, are you seeing the pattern? In every 30, 60, 90 triangle, do you notice how the hypotenuse is always twice as big as the shorter leg? Look at that. Hypotenuse twice as big as the shorter leg. Hypotenuse twice as big as the shorter leg. Now don't write that down. I'm going to give that to you in a second, okay? You don't have to write down, hypotenuse is twice as big as the shorter leg. I'm going to go over that later. I'm just saying, do you see that pattern? Do you see that this longer leg right here is always being multiplied by the shorter leg? If you take 1, let me rephrase that. If you take the shorter leg and multiply it by square root of 3, you will always get the longer leg. If I take 1 times square root of 3, I get square root of 3. If I take this shorter leg, which is 2, and multiply it by square root of 3, I get 2 square root of 3. If I take this shorter leg, which is 10, and I multiply it by square root of 3, I get 10 square root of 3. Well, Mr. Earhart, you just wrote these numbers up here. How do we know they're right? Well, guys, I wouldn't lie to you. I mean, they're all accurate, and every single one of those, every single one of these triangles are true 30, 60, 90 triangles. So I hope you're seeing a little bit of a pattern here, and just in case you're not, let me sum it all up for you like this. Let's sum up all this information by using these 3 formulas. Let me grab a drink here. Go ahead and copy these down. Notice, in order to find the hypotenuse, you will always multiply 2 times the shorter leg. In order to find the longer leg, you will always multiply square root of 3 times the shorter leg. And anytime you want to find the shorter leg, you will take the hypotenuse and divide it by 2. Now remember, these formulas only work for what triangles? 30, 60, 90. Do you remember the formulas that only work for a 45, 45, 90 triangle? I hope you do. The hypotenuse was always square root of 2 times the leg. The leg always equal the hypotenuse divided by the square root of 2. And your legs were always equal or congruent. Now these 3 formulas here only worked with a 45, 45, 90 triangle. That should ring a bell, okay? So you need to be familiar with these 3 formulas and know they only work on a 45, 45, 90 triangle. And you need to be familiar with these 3 formulas and understand they only work on 30, 60, 90 triangles, okay? All right, so with that in mind, and I hope that has made sense so far. If nothing else, we can at least memorize the formulas. Let's go ahead and try to solve 4 problems, and then that'll be it for the class period. If you want to write down where this came from in the book, feel free to. If you don't, that's fine. You can just copy down the triangle if you want. Page 549, example 1, find the length of B. Find the length of B. Well, first of all, notice I have a 30, 60, 90 triangle, so I am more than welcome to use these 3 formulas right here. Okay? So what I suggest you always do first is label your shorter leg, your longer leg, and probably your hypotenuse too. just so you have a name for every side. So I'm going to start with the easy side first. Here's my right angle, go straight across. This would be my hypotenuse right here. Now here's 60, that's my bigger angle, so I go straight across. This will be my longer leg. Here's 30, that's smaller than 60, go straight across. This is my shorter leg. Do you see how important it is to label those three sides right off the bat? If you can't do that, back up the video and watch it again. You need to know how to do that. Now we're trying to solve for B, which is your longer leg, right? Look at the instructions. Find the length of B. We're trying to find B. B is your longer leg. Do you see a formula up here that helps you find the longer leg? There it is right there. The longer leg equals square root of 3 times the shorter leg. So the longer leg equals the square root of 3 times what number? The shorter leg. What is the shorter leg? 1. The square root of 3 times 1. Or in other words, the square root of 3. So you just found B, you just found the longer leg. Now, Mr. Earhart, we could have used Pythagoras theorem because we knew two sides and it was the right triangle. And you're right, you could have. But what if I give you problems like the next one where you only know one side? Then you can't use Pythagoras theorem. So be really careful, okay? But anyways, look this over, make sure this makes sense. And watch this again if you need to. Okay, next problem, page 550, example number 2. Find the two missing sides. Now right off the bat, I'm going to label all three sides. Going across from the right angle, that would be my hypotenuse. Here's 60, go straight across, that's my longer leg. Here's 30, go straight across, that's my shorter leg. Now, you're either going to find the hypotenuse first or the longer leg first, okay? I'm going to start with the hypotenuse for no apparent reason. So I'm going to say hypotenuse equals 2 times the shorter leg. Well, what is the shorter leg? 12. So I'm going to substitute 12 in for the shorter leg. And so the hypotenuse always, or not always, in this case the hypotenuse must equal 24. So there, I found the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is always twice as big as the shorter leg. Now let's find the longer leg. The longer leg is always square root of 3 times the shorter leg. Alright, so here we go. Square root of 3 times the shorter leg is 12 times 12. Now if you're going to write this properly the way mathematicians would write it, the 12 would go out front, so you would say 12 square root of 3. And that's all you can do. Now if I asked you to type that into your calculator, you would hit 12 times the square root of 3, but I've not asked you to do that, and this is definitely sufficient right here. Okay, let's continue on, and let's see if we cannot find the next problem we're going to do. Page 551, example number 4. Page 551, example number 4, find the two missing sides. Okay, now let's go ahead and label our three sides. This is 90, go straight across, this is my hypotenuse. Here's 60, go straight across, 5 would be my longer leg. Here's 30, go straight across, this side over here is your shorter leg. Now, we know what the longer leg is, it's 5, no problem, but we're missing the hypotenuse and the shorter leg. So, hypotenuse equals 2 times the shorter leg, alright? And the shorter leg right here equals, be careful here, the hypotenuse divided by 2. Now, we can go ahead and try to solve for the hypotenuse first. The hypotenuse is 2 times the shorter leg. However, I don't know what the shorter leg is, so let's go on to the next formula. I could try to find the shorter leg, and that would be the hypotenuse divided by 2, but hold it, I don't know what the hypotenuse is. So what are we going to do in this situation where we're trying to find the hypotenuse and the shorter leg, but yet we don't have the information that we need? Well, when that happens, go to your third formula, and watch this carefully. Go to your third formula, longer leg equals square root of 3 times your shorter leg, and look what you can do here. Do you see what your longer leg is? Do you see that? It's 5. So what can you put for LL? you can put 5. Now how does that help? Well, look, square root of 3 times SL, if we divide by square root of 3 and divide by square root of 3, these cancel, and I'm left with 5 over square root of 3 equals your shorter leg. Now normally I'm totally fine with leaving the shorter leg like this, and students, please feel free to leave it like this. However, with this radical in the denominator, to me that's going to be pretty much a pain later. So I'm going to go ahead and type that into my calculator and get a decimal, 2.886. So I'm going to round that to 2.89 for my shorter leg. Okay, so there we go. Now I know what my shorter leg is, 2.89. And usually we will not type it into our calculators, but in this case, again, with a radical in the denominator, I would rather just type it in and then get out a decimal. That's a lot easier to use than a fraction. Now, the last side I have to find is the hypotenuse. Well, look what the hypotenuse equals. Hypotenuse equals 2 times the shorter leg. And we just found the shorter leg, 2.89. So 2 times 8.2 times 2.89 would be 8 carrier 1, 7 carrier 1, 5.78, okay? And that would be your hypotenuse, okay? So again, just use these formulas all that you need to until you know all 3 sides. Okay, page 551, example 5. Let's find the 2 missing sides, and this is the last problem. We're finally done, okay? So way to hang in there, and the week's over, and hopefully you guys can enjoy a nice weekend. Now, I'm going to first of all label all the sides. This is my right angle, so I go straight across. This 8 is my hypotenuse. Here's 60, go straight across. This is my longer leg. Here's 30, go straight across. This is my shorter leg. So the 2 sides I have to find, notice I already know my hypotenuse has a length of 8 units. So I have to find the length of the longer side, and that's always the square root of 3 times the shorter leg. And I also have to find my shorter leg, and my shorter leg equals the hypotenuse divided by 2. Now, we really can't use this formula yet because we don't know what the shorter leg is, so we have nothing to put in right here for SL. However, over here for H, I can definitely put an 8 in. So the shorter leg equals hypotenuse over 2. My hypotenuse is 8. So the shorter leg equals 8 over 2, which of course would then give me 4. So your shorter leg equals 4. Now we can find the longer leg because we know the shorter leg is 4. So the longer leg equals square root of 3 times the shorter leg, and the shorter leg is 4. And of course, if you're going to write that mathematically correct, the 4 is going to come first. Now, I guess you could type this into your calculator, but when it's not a fraction, I don't see a need to. You're more than welcome to just leave it 4 square root of 3, and that would be your longer leg. Okay? Now, students, look, like I mentioned at the start of the class period, I'm not going to say I hope you're doing the videos and doing your homework. I'm going to say I hope that you're learning the videos and learning the homework. Because if you're not, you need to back things up and watch it again and again until you understand it. If you don't do that, you're probably not going to do well on the test or quizzes, okay? All right, let's wrap the class period up quickly. First of all, it's not what I wanted to do. Let's see if I can fix this. That's not it. Not sure what I did. I hope that's right. Okay. Remember, no homework over the weekend, so enjoy that. On Monday, you will not have class due to the seniors working for whoever bought them. So Haley Nicholson, this will not happen very often, but on Monday, bring something to work on, okay? A study hall, have something to work on. All of the other students are seniors, and they will be working for the student that bought them. We will work on homework on Tuesday. that is over this information we covered today. So what I'm saying is this: am I giving you homework over this video? No. When will I give you homework over this video? Tuesday. It would have been Monday, but there's no class on Monday. That's all. All right, that's it. Have a good rest of the day. Have a great weekend. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to call or email.